just because I've done, some of the other people that work alongside you guys have done a lot of their taxes, and most of the time, once they're bringing in around 40 grand a year, usually at that point they're profiting about 20 grand. From my experience, what it seems like.
So if you get audited, do you have to justify this 12 versus 18, like why you chose that to audit yourself?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I've had people get audited before, and that's not really something that they ask about. Again, the IRS language on that is very vague. Basically, like I said, they say it has to be a quote-unquote reasonable wage. So if you're only bringing in, yeah, it's very
gray.
Very gray, yes. That's why I said I got that guy who for 20 plus years, profiting over $1 million, paying himself 25 grand a year. So yes, it's very
I mean,
vague.
would you say on average 30% is a fairly 30 or I mean, what would?
Well, to be honest, I don't know that I would go much higher than 40 grand, no matter how much money you're bringing in. Because the idea there is how much could you pay somebody to do your job responsibility outside of yourself as the owner. So a lot of times, like, for example, I've got a person that they have a janitorial company. It's one of my clients, and they do 1.5 million a year in revenue. Well, I just started taking over their books, and I realized that the thing is, there's a lot of people that will, and I don't know why they do this, for the life of me. It doesn't make any sense to me. He came to me and the former CPA he was going to had him paying himself 270 grand a year on a W-2. And this made zero sense to me whatsoever. Why they would ever do that, because you can easily justify paying yourself 40 or even 50 or 60 if you wanted to, and still save a ton of money in taxes by doing that. It just, a lot of times I think it's laziness on the part of the CPA. They just probably have so many clients, they just tell somebody do this and they do it right.
There's a story with one of our former people that used to work for us, went to Mike and walked out an hour later with $1,500 in his pocket more after
From
looking
the
at
previous year.
Yeah, from a previous year tax return. Mike looked, no, $1,500. So.
Yeah. So.
That's the
So
reason.
yeah, it's as far as that goes though, I've never seen them ever question it, just because of the fact that I think it's very hard for them to say you should be paying yourself more.
And is there anyone or any situation in which they would just look at that tax amount?
Like
Line for any-
a loan or anything?
Any situation where you would be held to that amount for whatever reason?
No, because of the fact that this is all coming from the same place, and you are the owner of that company, there's never a reason why they would only look at that.
So where do they get the money from, like, where do they get the amounts for the tax brackets? Like, you say you're in a
Yeah.
20% tax bracket.
That's a good question.
How
Okay.
do they get
So,
those numbers?
that is all based on what's called your AGI, which is your adjusted gross income, which comes from your personal return, right? So what happens is, in this 15.3% that I was talking about, again, that's just the self-employment tax. That's on top of whatever your federal income tax is. So when you hear the term tax bracket, that is solely referring to your federal income tax.
That's
Okay?
your, whatever you've made, whatever amount is showing as your
Your AGI. So whatever you're showing
on your
as your
1099, the first amount,
Nope, it's so your AGI, your adjusted gross income, is the total amount of your income. Now, if you're a LLC or a sole proprietor, after you do your Schedule C and you put in your total income and then you take out your expenses, that's
Okay.
going to go on one of the lines on your 1040. So that first page of your 1040 is going to show that amount plus whatever W-2 amounts you have. When you add up all of those amounts together, that gets your AGI.
so if you're a sole proprietor, it's gonna be what you've made minus your
Expenses.
expenses.
And in this case, it's going to be exact same. Only difference is you're going to have part of it shown as a W-2 and part of it shown as a K-1.
Okay.
Okay?
So then that number is where you get your tax bracket.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there's the tax brackets start at 10%. Then there's the 15% tax bracket, 25% tax
So you
bracket,
go from 15 to 25?
33.
It's like,
Yeah. So there's 10.
And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get it down to
33.
15.
Yeah.
Right.
So the idea, as an S corp, you're sheltering yourself from having to pay as much self-employment tax, but you're still gonna be paying and your tax bracket is gonna probably end up very similar.
Where do we find those amounts? Like, you make this much to this much and that's a 10%, is it
Well,
that simple?
It's not that simple.
Okay.
I wish I could say it was, but we're dealing with the government here and they don't make it that simple. This all has to do on a number of different factors. What type of income you have, what your filing status is, if you're single, head of household, married filing jointly, married filing separately. All of these numbers are different depending on what your filing status is. Whether or not you have kids determines some of it too. So there's a lot of different factors that go into determining what tax bracket you're gonna end up falling into.
Is there the best way to file when you are married and have children?
Best way is married jointly, always.
Even with
Almost,
the S
almost always.
Even
Yes,
with the S
even with the S. Mhm. Yes. So typically, the way, if I were to kind of break down filing statuses as far as most advantageous versus least advantageous, you would start with married filing jointly, is typically the best filing status. Then from there you have qualifying widow or widower, if you've had a spouse that has passed away. From there, head of household, then single.
What are the considerations of head of household?
You have to have a dependent. You have to have a kid. If you don't have a kid, you're gonna file single. Yeah. I mean, unless you're married. Okay. And then the least advantageous is married filing separate.
Anybody else have any other questions? We gotta kind of wrap up. I know Mike's gotta go. Anybody else have any other questions?
Yes. Yeah, I've got some business
Yeah,
cards.
please.
to
Oh,
do,
good,
guys.
okay.
Excellent.
And-